Alright, Shalom. Double honors to the apostles of GMS, honest you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity for the four corners of the earth. Just gonna get into a thing, just a short little topic concerning what the future holds for the people on the earth, right? The heathen and the two-thirds, right? Because the men of the Lord are not going to be partaking in the vast majority of what's going to be spoken about in these next two articles I'm going to go through here, right? And the empathy I'm trying to push in this one is the fact that you're going to be hastening the day so you don't have to partake of what's going to be spoken about here, man. You're going to have to step your game up if you have to step your game up, or just keep doing what you're doing. You know, the scripture in Revelation says in the 2nd chapter 25th verse talks about enduring, right? Holding fast to that which you have already, man, and holding fast until the Lord comes. Right, without much further ado, this is on the Daily Mail Online, and it's talking about life after a nuclear war, right? Revealed, and this is a computer generated model that they used to reveal what the consequences of a nuclear war would be. It says a computer model reveals Earth would suffer a 20-year-long winter. So it's what we know as a nuclear winter. It's going to be 20 years of winter, man. Right? No summer, no sun, nothing like that. Right? It says researchers in Colorado studied the effects of nuclear conflict on Earth. Right? And said they use a climate model to predict what would happen or what would become of the planet. Their research looked at the detonation of 100 small nuclear warheads. So that's nothing, right? That's nothing, right? It says 100 small nuclear warheads, right? In their paper, they conclude humanity would have been affected for decades, right? It said they would be worldwide famine, which is spoken about in the scriptures, right? Deadly frost, right? Huge ozone losses, right? Results would be the death of hundreds of millions, right? Or billions, and we know it's going to be more in the billions, man, right? It says they hope their research would be an incentive for superpowers to disarm, right? It says, and this is going into the next paragraph. It says the terrible fate of Earth after a nuclear war has been mapped out using computer models for the first time. Worldwide famine, deadly frost, global ozone losses of up to 50%, right? And more would greet an inhabitants of the planet still remaining after a nuclear conflict. So whoever remains is going to have to suffer, right? 20% less ozone layer, which means you're going to be getting a cancer from the radiation just from the sun itself, let alone the nuclear shortfall that's going to come about as a result of a conflict. All right? It says and the researchers hope that their study of what they call a relatively small nuclear war, and that's what I was saying. A relatively small nuclear war will serve as a deterrent against such weapons being used by any nation in the future. Right? It says unnerving consequences were laid out in the paper called multi-decadal global cooling, right? An unprecedented ozone layer loss following a regional nuclear conflict. And it says in it the researchers follow at the outcome of a limited regional nuclear war between India and Pakistan, right? In which each side detonates 15 kiloton weapons, and they use a computer model to examine the impact on the planet and its environment. It makes for grim reading. And this is the aftermath dotted out in a 20-year outline. Right? It says aftermath of nuclear war according to the study. It says year 05 megatons of black carbon released into the atmosphere, which absorbs sunlight and and begins to cool the planet. Black carbon rain, right, also kills millions, right? So you can have carbon rain as a result. So you're gonna have people coming, people dying off of as a result of that, and you can also have the planet starting to cool off. It says average in year one, average surface temperature dropped to 1 degree Celsius. Year two, crops growing season is shortened to 10 to 40 days. Right, in year 5, Earth is an average of 1.5 degrees Celsius colder than the present day, right? Colder than it has been in 1,000 years, and that's Esau going into his madness there with his evolution and icing theory and all of that, man. Right? And nevertheless, it says, and there is also 9% less rainfall, right? And it says, and the ozone is also up to 25% thinner, right? Increasing UV rays, which I spoke about a second ago on the Earth. It says, yeah, 10 ozone recovers slightly to 8% less than the modern day. And in year 20, right, the planet warms slightly to 0.5 degrees, right, lower than present day. It says rainfall in the year 26 increases by about 4.5%. Less than today. So, these are pretty detrimental effects, man. And I'm not going to go into the whole article because, some of these things are not going to be experienced because pretty much after World War III, that's when Israel's going to be put in power. So the Most High might have it to where, especially us, the brothers, is going to be seeing this. If Lord willing, Lord willing, I make it. The brothers is going to be seeing this at a different time continuum, so you can understand, because the scriptures speak about, right, seeing this from the chariots, and it's going to go through pretty much like a flash. So the people on earth might go through this for about 20 years, but time works differently in them different dimensions when you're in them chariots, man. And the basic principles of science say if you're traveling away from something, man, right, time's going to be relative to you, and the earth might go out for about 20 years, but it's going to be however the Most High sets it up, man. Right? Now I'm going to go into this second article. It says consequences of a large nuclear war, and this is what's most likely to occur, right, as opposed to the relatively small nuclear war that is spoken about in this article. So this is what it's more likely to be. Right, it says following a large US-Russia nuclear war, enormous fires created by nuclear explosives in cities and industrial areas caused 150 million tons of smoke to be lofted high into the atmosphere. The smoke is quickly spread around the world and forms a dense smoke layer around both hemispheres. The smoke will remain in the stratosphere for many years and act to block the sunlight from reaching the surface of the earth, right? And so that's gonna interfere with crop production, all of that, right? Farming and stuff like that. It says new studies predict that the levels of stratospheric smoke deposition will still be possible even after planned reduction in US-Russian nuclear arsenal completed under the sort of the treaty in 2012. Alright, and this is a summary of the consequences. Alright, summary of the consequences: US-Russia war, right, producing 150 million tons of smoke. Right, now this is just smoke. It says 2,600 US and Russian strategic nuclear weapons on high alert are launched. Right, which is, that's 2,500 more, right, than the ones that's spoken about in this relatively small example that you have in the initial. Right, it says in 2 to 3 minutes at targets in US, Europe and Russia, and perhaps to other targets which are considered to have strategic value. It says some fraction of the remaining 7,600 deployed. The remaining 7,600 deployed and operational US and Russian strategic nuclear weapons are also launched and detonated in retaliation to the initial attack. So the initial attack could be a couple of nukes, man, right? But the retaliation could be 7,000, man. And you've seen the effect of just as 100 small, man, right? So they're going for complete total wipeout, man, with these nuclear warheads, right here. It says hundreds of large cities in the U.S., Europe, and Russia are engulfed in massive firestorms, right? And it says which burns urban areas for tens of hundreds of thousands of square meters. It says 150 million tons of smoke, just smoke, right, from nuclear fires rises above cloud level in the atmosphere, which quickly spread around the world and formed dense stratospheric cold layers. Right, the smoke will remain there for many years to block and absorb sunlight. It says the smoke blocks up to 70% of the sunlight reaching to the Earth's surface in the northern hemisphere, and up to 35 sunlight is blocked in the southern hemisphere. It says in the absence of warming sunlight, the surface of the surface temperature of the Earth becomes cold, or colder than they were, 18,000 years ago, which he's going into his madness here about the Ice Age and all of that. It says, and they would be rapid cooling of 20 degrees over large areas of North America, 30 degrees over Eurasia, including agricultural regions, right? And 150 million tons of smoke in the stratosphere would cause minimum daily temperatures in largest agricultural areas in the northern hemisphere to drop below freezing for 1 to 3 years, man. Right? Nightly killing frost would occur and prevent food from being grown. Right? Average global precipitation would be reduced by 45% due to the prolonged cold. Right? Growing seasons would be virtually eliminated for many years. Right? It says massive destruction of protective ozone layers would also occur, right? And UV light to penetrate in the Earth, right? And that's let me just read a few more of this. It says massive amounts of radioactive fallout will be generated and will spread both locally and globally, right? And the targeting of nuclear reactors will significantly increase fallout of long-lived isotopes, and gigantic ground-hugging clouds of toxic smoke will be released from fires. Enormous quantities of industrial chemicals will also enter into the environment, right? So it's not good times that's coming forth, man, right? That doesn't sound like pretty times, man. Right? It says, and it will be impossible for many years living things to survive. Right, the extreme rapidity of and degrees of change in temperatures and precipitation, combined with destructive increases in UV light, massive radioactive fallout, and massive releases of toxins, industrial chemicals. Already stressed land marine ecosystems would collapse. Right, unable to grow food, most humans would starve to death. Right, and mass intoxication events would occur, similar to that to what happened 65 million years ago. He's talking about 65 million years ago, right, when the dinosaurs were on the scene and all of that, man. So even in this small article here, where we got some good information coming out about the result and the consequences of a nuclear war, right? You got this Edomite throwing new curveballs in there about the dinosaurs in 65 or some odd million years, right? Of evolution and all of that, which doesn't exist, man. The scripture doesn't speak about that. But the point I was going to show you right here, right, is the consequences, right, of a Russia nuclear war producing 150 million tons of smoke. And you got to remember, man, when they do these experiments, man, they're looking for the easy option. There's stuff here that they haven't considered, which will inevitably happen, like the spread of disease, man. If it's cold, you're gonna have a high spread of disease, man, because bacteria is gonna thrive in there. In fact, some of the only things that are gonna be able to survive this nuclear war, and thrive in that environment is gonna be bacteria, right, and viruses and all that. So not only going to be starving to death, you're going to be dying off of them diseases, man. Right? But speaking on the elect, right, this is the book of Thessalonians, the first Thessalonians 5:17. It says, "Pray without ceasing." So you're gonna be in a constant state of prayer. So you don't partake of this, man. You're not a partaker of this. Now I don't know exactly how the Most High is gonna. I don't know how exactly the Most High is gonna do it once the nuclear weapons don't go down. All I know is the nuclear weapons gonna go down. Right, the elect is gonna be beamed up into the chariots, and after a certain period of time, whether it be 20 years or whatever. Right, I'm not putting a figure out there because I don't know. But after a certain period of time, we're going to come back down on the earth, right, and have people in subjection. Right, and this is really around the corner, man. This could pop off tomorrow, man. This could, I mean, not tomorrow because there's certain prophecies that still have to be come to pass. It can come off at the end of the week, man, end of the month, man. Right, martial law could be called out tomorrow, or chip out, you know, on the same day, and World War III pretty much. Yeah, it could pop off tomorrow, man. You know, technically, alright? That's why you're going to be in a constant state of prayer, man, right? Now this is in the next scripture, in the book of 2 Peter 3:11. It says, "Seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, what manner of persons ought ye ought to be in all holy conversation and godliness, looking for and hastening unto the coming day of the Lord." Right, a coming day of the Most High, wherein the heavens being on fire shall be dissolved, and the elements shall melt with a fervent heat. Right, so we got to be in wait, hold on, nearly jumped away from that one, right? Because this is what I was speaking about a little bit earlier on. I actually prepared it a little bit earlier on just for the looking for and hasting part, but that's the spirit because I was just talking about this. It says, "Nevertheless, we, according to His promise, look for a new heaven and a new earth, wherein dwelleth righteousness." Right? And in the last precept, Isaiah the 65th chapter and 11th verse, and it says, "But ye are they which forsook the Lord." We're talking about these so-called niggers out here in this world, right? Just going about their business, man. Right? Forgetting the Lord and the law and all that. It says, "That forsook the Lord," right? And that forgot my holy mountain, and that prepare a table for the troop, and furnish a drink, offering unto the number. It says, "Therefore will I number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter, because I have called, ye did not answer, and when I spoke, ye did not hear, but ye did evil before mine eyes, and did not choose that which I delighted in." It says, "Therefore thus saith the Lord, alright, power, behold my servants," the Negroes is the elect of the Most High, elect of the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, scattered abroad, man. Right? Therefore thus saith the Lord, power, behold my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty, and behold my servants shall rejoice. Right? You'll be rejoicing when we see this destruction come into play. Right? Therefore my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. And pretty much with that, like I said, it's going to be a little nice short one. Right? And hopefully that's going to be edifying to you brothers out there. Right? Basically showing you're going to be, diligent. And like the scriptures also says, man, give diligence to make your calling and election short. Right? That must say double honors to the apostles of GMS, unless you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. Shalom.